20,000 stakes. That is what it takes to stop the man who ended an empire. June 1462. The vanguard of the Ottoman army rides through the open gates of Târgoviște, the capital city of Wallachia. The gates are not barricaded. There are no soldiers on the walls, no archers in the towers, no resistance of any kind. The city has been abandoned so completely and so deliberately that the silence itself feels like a trap. The Ottoman soldiers ride in slowly. They look at the empty streets. They look at the open doors of the houses. They look at each other. Then the smell hits them. It arrives before the visual, a wall of decomposition so thick and so complete that horses begin to pull against their reins. Experienced soldiers who have ridden through the aftermath of 100 battles press their hands against their faces. The smell is not fresh death, it is weeks of death, months of death. Death at a scale that has had time to compound into something the human nose was never designed to process. Then they see the shapes. 3 miles long, 1 mile wide, 20,000 stakes driven into the earth of Wallachia in a configuration so deliberate and so precise that it could only have been designed by someone who understood exactly what an advancing army would see and when they would see it, and what that sight would do to the part of a soldier's brain that makes him willing to keep moving forward. On the tallest stake at the center of the field, the rotting body of Hamza Pasha still wore the remnants of his official Ottoman clothing. He had been placed at the highest point in deference to his rank. The man sent to kill Vlad the Impaler displayed above every other body in the field as a courtesy, as a protocol, as a message written in decomposing flesh that required no translation. Birds had made nests in the bodies. Sultan Mehmed II, the conqueror of Constantinople, the man who had ended the Byzantine Empire in 53 days, rode to the edge of that field and stopped. The greatest military commander of the 15th century looked at what a prince of a tiny Balkan principality had built in his path. And according to the Greek historian Chalcondyles, who was there, the Sultan was seized with amazement and said that it was not possible to deprive of his country a man who had done such great deeds, who had such a diabolical understanding of how to govern his realm and his people. The following day, Mehmed turned his army around. He went home. To understand what Vlad built in that field, you cannot start with the stakes. You have to start with a child, with a dungeon in Adrianople, with 6 years of systematic humiliation that the Ottoman Empire inflicted on an 11-year-old boy and then forgot about. They should not have forgotten. Before we go inside those walls, drop a comment right now and tell me what city and country you are watching from. Because what Vlad the Impaler did in 1462 was not savagery, it was engineering, and the empire that tried to break him taught him every single technique he used to break them back. You are watching the Crimson Archives, and we are just getting started. The year is 1442. Vlad is 11 years old. His father, Vlad II, Dracula the Dragon, rides to the court of Sultan Murad II with 2 of his sons. The arrangement is simple and brutal and entirely standard for the 15th century. The Ottoman Empire controls a vast portion of the known world. Wallachia sits on its border like a stone in its shoe. Small, defiant, perpetually inconvenient. Vlad II needs Ottoman support to hold his throne against rival factions backed by Hungary. The price of that support is what empires have always demanded from the weak. Proof of loyalty, the kind of proof that cannot be faked. He hands over his sons. Vlad is 11, his brother Radu is 7. They are placed in Ottoman custody in Adrianople as hostages of their father's good behavior. As long as the boys remain in the Sultan's possession, Vlad II will not make any moves against Ottoman interests. The boys are insurance, collateral, human paperwork. The Ottoman court does not mistreat its hostages in the obvious ways. There are no chains, no dungeons in the conventional sense. The boys receive an education. They learn Turkish, they learn the Quran, they learn logic and horsemanship and military tactics and court protocol. They are given a thorough and deliberate immersion in how the Ottoman Empire thinks and moves and controls and dominates. This education has a purpose. The empire is not being generous. It is manufacturing compliance. Boys raised inside the Ottoman system develop loyalties to it. They learn to see the world through its frameworks. They come home as extensions of Ottoman influence wearing Wallachian faces. This is the machine's design. Take the child. Return the instrument. Radu takes to it immediately. He is 7 years old and adaptable, and the Ottoman court is not without its comforts. He learns the language. He learns the faith. He converts to Islam. He forms a close personal relationship with Sultan Murad's son, the young Prince Mehmed. He becomes a favorite. By the time the hostage years end, Radu does not want to leave. He stays. He becomes an Ottoman ally wearing his father's face. He becomes the empire's candidate for the Wallachian throne. He becomes the weapon they will eventually use against his own brother. Vlad does not take to it. He is beaten repeatedly. Documented beatings for verbal abuse of his captors, for stubborn defiance, for refusing to perform the compliance the machine requires. He speaks when he should be silent. He argues when he should submit. He watches everything. He learns everything the empire teaches him, but something in the architecture of the boy refuses to be converted into an instrument. He is being beaten inside the most powerful empire on earth. He is taking notes. In 1447, news reaches Adrianople. Vlad's father has been assassinated. His elder brother Mircea is dead. Mircea was blinded with hot irons and buried alive. The boy's family is gone. Their protector is gone. Their entire claim to anything beyond this hostage existence has been erased by the same political forces that put them here. Vlad is 16 years old. He is inside the empire that arranged his family's destruction. He cannot leave. He cannot fight. He cannot do anything except absorb this information in silence and continue taking notes. The empire releases him in 1448. He is 17. He has spent 6 years inside the most sophisticated military and political organism in the known world. He speaks its language without an accent. He understands its psychology from the inside. He knows how it moves and what it fears and where the gaps are between its overwhelming power and its human limitations. They send him home assuming they have built an instrument. What they have actually done is train a weapon and handed it back to its owner. The throne of Wallachia is not a gift, it is a problem. It sits between the Ottoman Empire to the south and the Kingdom of Hungary to the north. Two colossal powers that use small Balkan principalities the way chess players use pawns. The Prince of Wallachia must perform a permanent and exhausting balancing act between two masters who are themselves at war with each other. What pay tribute to the Ottomans and Hungary brands you a traitor. A line with Hungary and the Ottoman army appears on your southern border. There is no correct move. There is only the quality of your improvisation under pressure. Vlad takes the throne for his second reign in 1456 at 25 years old. He has already learned from his first reign in 1448, which lasted 2 months before he was deposed. He will not make the same mistakes. He will not be patient. He will not perform the careful diplomatic compliance that his father performed. He will not offer the empire the compliance it manufactured him to provide. He begins Immediately, the noble families of Wallachia, the boyars, have been trading princes for decades, using political allegiance as a commodity. Oh, they put rulers on the throne and take them off again with the casual efficiency of men who understand that no ruler survives without their support. Vlad invites them to a banquet, hundreds of them, the old and the young, the powerful and the merely ambitious. They come because refusing a royal invitation is not something boyars do. They do not leave. He impales them in the courtyard, all of them. While some are still impaled and dying, he forces the survivors of their families to march to the ruins of a castle he intends to rebuild. They march in their fine court clothing until their shoes disintegrate, and then they march in bare feet until their feet disintegrate, and then they march in the manner of people who have no choice. The castle is rebuilt. The boyar problem is solved. A new generation of nobles understands exactly what kind of prince has arrived. The internal opposition is finished in a season. Now the external pressure begins. 1459. Ottoman envoys arrive at Vlad's court. They are emissaries of the sultan. They carry the weight of the most powerful empire on earth in their bearing. They stand before the prince of a tiny principality, and they make their demands. Tribute, compliance, the usual arrangement, the usual performance of submission that keeps small principalities alive between large empires. They refuse to remove their turbans. This is Ottoman custom. The head is covered in the presence of even the sultan himself. The envoys are not being disrespectful. They are following a protocol as natural to them as breathing. They have followed this protocol at 100 courts. It has never been a problem before. It is a problem now. Vlad has them seized. He has iron nails driven through the turbans into their skulls. The metal penetrates fabric and leather and bone and brain matter in a single operation that fuses the custom they refuse to abandon to the skulls they refuse to uncover. He sends the bodies back to Constantinople. Each nail carries a message that requires no interpreter. It says, "I am not afraid of you." It says, "The rules of your empire do not apply inside my borders." It says, "The next thing you send toward me will be returned in a condition you will not enjoy." Mehmed reads the message. He sends Hamza Pasha, governor of Nicopolis, with 1,000 cavalry. The official mission is diplomatic. The secret orders are to ambush and capture or kill Vlad at a meeting point near the fortress of Juju. Mehmed is not sending another envoy. He is sending a solution. Vlad has a spy network that would embarrass larger kingdoms. He is warned. He sets his own ambush in a narrow pass north of Juju. The Wallachians surround the Ottoman force completely. They fire with handguns until everyone is dead. Historians note that Vlad is one of the first European military commanders to use firearms with decisive tactical effectiveness. Hamza Pasha is not dead. He has been captured alive. Vlad disguises himself in Ottoman uniform, speaks Turkish to the fortress guards, and orders the gates opened. This is the boy who spent 6 years learning the language until it had no accent. This is the education the empire paid for. He storms the fortress with his cavalry. He destroys it. He moves through Bulgaria, massacring every Ottoman soldier and sympathizer he finds. On February 11, 1462, he writes to Matthias Corvinus, king of Hungary. The letter is remarkable for what it is. It is not a report. It is not a diplomatic communication. It is a receipt. He lists the villages. He lists the rivers. He lists the methods. We killed 23,884 Turks, without counting those whom we burned in homes or the Turks whose heads were cut by our soldiers. He writes thus, "Your Highness, you must know that I have broken the peace with him." He has broken the peace with him. He is announcing this to his Hungarian ally, as though he is describing a business transaction completed satisfactorily. The numbers are precise. The accounting is meticulous. He is proud of the arithmetic. He is still holding Hamza Pasha. Mehmed raises his army. The estimates vary between 60,000 and 150,000 men, against Vlad's 30,000. The Conqueror of Constantinople is coming personally. This is not a punitive expedition managed by subordinates. This is the full force of the Ottoman military machine pointed at a principality the size of a problem. They crossed the Danube on June 4th, 1462. The greatest army in the known world marching into Wallachia to remove a prince who has been sending back Ottoman bodies with instructions nailed to their skulls. They find nothing. The crops are burned, the wells are poisoned, the villages are evacuated. The rivers have been diverted in places to create marshland that bogs down supply wagons and artillery. Vlad has sent civilians infected with plague and syphilis and leprosy into the Ottoman ranks. The army that crossed the Danube at full strength is, by the time it reaches the capital, a machine running on empty, marching through a landscape that has been specifically designed to consume it. Guerrilla attacks come from the forests, small fast raids that kill Ottoman soldiers and vanish before the main force can respond. Vlad does not fight the Ottoman way. He fights the way that a man who knows the Ottoman way from the inside chooses not to fight it. He has studied this army from childhood. He knows its strengths. He knows where the gaps are. He is not trying to defeat it in the field. He is trying to exhaust it, disorient it, reduce its operational capacity until it is hungry and sick and slow and afraid. On the night of June 16th to 17th, 1462, he goes further. He puts on Ottoman clothing. He rides into the Ottoman camp alone first to scout it personally. He moves through the enemy's own forces, speaking their language with no accent, because he spent 6 years learning it under punishment. He finds the Sultan's tent. He stands in front of it. He studies it. He memorizes the layout of the entire camp. He leaves. He rejoins his own army and briefs them on what he saw. That night, he leads between 7,000 and 10,000 cavalry into the heart of the Ottoman encampment in darkness, with torches, with bugles, with the maximum possible noise and chaos and fire. The attack runs from 3 hours after sunset until 4 in the morning. He rides directly for the Sultan's tent. He gets the wrong tent. Inside are the Grand Viziers Mahmud Pasha and Isaac Pasha. He kills everyone present. He searches the surrounding area. The Sultan is not there. Mehmed is in a different tent. The assassination fails by the width of a single canvas wall. Vlad withdraws at dawn. He has not killed the Sultan. He has not stopped the army. He has demonstrated to every Ottoman soldier present that the prince of this tiny principality speaks their language, wears their uniform, knows the interior of their camp, and can reach the center of their command structure in the dark. He has made the question of where Vlad Dracula is tonight the most terrifying question in the Ottoman army. Mehmed continues to Târgoviște. The gates are open. The city is empty. The capital of Wallachia abandoned without a fight. Mehmed rides in carefully because everything about this is wrong. Then the smell reaches him. The stake was never meant to kill quickly. This is the technical fact that separates what Vlad built from ordinary execution. The wood was thick. The tip was rounded and blunted deliberately, not to be merciful, to be precise. A sharp tip kills fast. It pierces organs. It causes rapid blood loss. The victim dies in minutes. This was not what Vlad was designing. The rounded tip was oiled. animal fat applied to the surface of the wood to reduce friction. A horse was attached to each of the victim's legs. Controlled downward pressure applied until the stake began its work. The rounded end pushed organs aside rather than piercing them. It navigated the body cavity the way a river navigates a valley, finding the path of least resistance upward through the torso. In cases of complete impalement, the stake emerged through the mouth. The victim remained conscious through much of this. The damage to organs was limited by design. The stake avoided the arteries it needed to avoid and severed the connections it needed to sever in an order calibrated to maximize duration. The victim was then raised upright. Their own body weight worked against them as they slowly descended the stake over hours or days. Death could take 8 days. Vlad understood the geometry of this. He understood that a man who survives 36 hours on a stake occupies a different psychological space in the mind of every person who sees him than a man who dies in 30 seconds. The prolonged visible suffering is not cruelty for its own sake. It is information. It communicates the specific message that the suffering will be long and that there is nothing you can do to shorten it once it begins. He varied the heights of the stakes by the social rank of the victim. The higher the position, the taller the stake. This was protocol. This was hierarchy expressed in wood and human bodies. An Ottoman soldier riding past the field could identify the rank of the dead by looking at the height of the stakes. The system communicated that Vlad understood Ottoman hierarchy well enough to replicate it in his execution field. This was not a barbarian. This was a man who had been educated by the empire he was now dismantling. He had been building the field for months, stockpiling the bodies from raids and battles and the prisoners he had taken during his winter campaign, impaling all of his Ottoman prisoners in preparation for the Sultan's arrival. He knew Mehmed was coming. He knew the route Mehmed would take. He knew the army would enter Targovishte through specific approaches. He positioned the field at the place where the smell and the visual would achieve maximum effect on the maximum number of soldiers at the same moment. He placed Hamza Pasha at the center on the tallest stake. Hamza Pasha, who had been sent to capture or kill Vlad, who had ridden toward that meeting with 1,000 cavalry and the Sultan's backing, who had been taken alive and held for months specifically for this moment, displayed above every other body in the field in deference to his rank. The man sent to remove Vlad the Impaler, serving as the centerpiece of the argument for why removing Vlad the Impaler was not advisable. The birds had made nests in the bodies. Babies had been impaled through their mothers' chests. The rotting clothing of Ottoman officials still fluttered on stakes in the wind. The field was 3 miles long and 1 mile wide. Mehmed the Conqueror, who had taken Constantinople in 53 days, who had ended the Byzantine Empire, who had never retreated, stood at the edge of this field, and according to the Greek historian who was present, said that the man who built this had a diabolical understanding of how to govern his realm and his people. He called him worth much. He turned his army around. He went home. The aftermath is its own kind of story. Mehmed leaves Radu behind, Vlad's brother, the boy who adapted, who converted, who became an Ottoman favorite, who became Mehmed's personal instrument for governing Wallachia from the inside. Radu moves through the countryside gathering support from boyar families who are exhausted by Vlad's methods and willing to accept a more manageable prince. The boyars who survived the banquet defect. The countryside that Vlad burned to stop the Ottoman advance now cannot sustain his own army. His forces dissolve. He flees to Transylvania in late 1462 to seek help from Matthias Corvinus, the same king he had written to in February to announce proudly that he had killed 23,884 Turks. Corvinus imprisons him. He presents 3 letters allegedly proving that Vlad had offered to join the Ottomans against Hungary. Most historians agree the letters are forged. The style is wrong, the rhetoric is wrong, the Latin is poor in ways that Vlad's documented writing never is. But Corvinus needs a reason to hold Vlad without angering the Pope and the Venetians who had funded his campaign. The forged letters are good enough. Vlad spends 12 years in Hungarian captivity. He reclaims his throne for the 3rd time in 1476. He holds it for months. Then an Ottoman patrol finds him north of Bucharest and kills him. He is ambushed and decapitated. His head is preserved in honey and sent to Constantinople. Mehmed displays it on a spike above the city gates. Think about what that journey means. The same head that pressed against the floor of the Ottoman court as an 11-year-old hostage. The same head that learned Turkish in that court without an accent. That plotted in that court without showing it. That left that court carrying an education the empire intended as a tool of control and used instead as a blueprint for resistance. It made the same journey twice. Once into the empire as a child being delivered, once out of it as a trophy being displayed. Mehmed kept the head of the man who had turned him around, displayed it above the city that had never been taken before him, above the walls of the greatest military achievement of his life, the head of the man who sent him home. Here is what the history books reduced to a footnote. Mehmed II was the most feared military commander of the 15th century. He had taken Constantinople. He had ended a 1,000-year empire in less than 2 months. He had a documented history of using impalement as a psychological weapon himself. He was not unfamiliar with atrocity. He was not a man who flinched at the machinery of violence. He flinched at Targoviste, not because of the bodies, because of what the bodies communicated about the mind that arranged them. A man who can build that field has understood something about power that most commanders never learn. He has understood that the most devastating weapon available to a smaller force against a larger one is not a better sword or a better formation or a better tactical position. It is the specific quality of fear that lives in the gap between what your enemy expects and what they actually find. Mehmed expected a fortified city. He found open gates. He expected resistance. He found silence. He expected a defeated prince. He found a field that spoke fluent Ottoman. The empire had taken a child and taught him everything it knew. It had beaten him when he refused to comply. It had kept him for 6 years and returned him to Wallachia, assuming the education had done its intended work. It had watched him build a state and defend it and kill its emissaries and nail its customs to their skulls and send back its governors impaled on stakes as courtesy gestures regarding rank. And then it marched its greatest army into a field that child had spent months designing, and it went home. The boy who was taken as a hostage was decapitated in the end. His head traveled to Constantinople in honey. Mehmed displayed it above the gates. He could not have known that the man whose head he was displaying had already won the only argument that matters in history. Not the argument of who held the throne of Wallachia, not the argument of who survived. The argument of who was remembered, of whose name lasted, of whose story crossed 5 centuries and arrived here in front of you, now still carrying the specific weight of what it means to take a child and make him into a weapon and then be surprised by what the weapon does. The empire that sent him home is dust. The forest is still standing. If this story changed what you thought you knew about the man history, reduced to a Halloween costume, Subscribe to the Crimson Archives, because every week we find the version of the past that was buried under the version you were given, and we drag it into the light. Not for the empire, not for the conqueror, for the 11-year-old boy in Adrianople who learned everything his captors knew and remembered all of it.